evening. I'm going to start lesson 8.3 by just doing a few little refreshers. I'm going to try and keep the entire video lesson short and sweet. A rate is a ratio in which two quantities being compared are measured in different units. So for example, we talk a lot about miles per hour. Rates are commonly written in fractional form, just how I've written it over here, with the dependent variable in the numerator or up on top and the independent variable as the denominator. That means that the miles depend on how many hours you've been traveling. A rate of change is used to describe the rate of increase or the rate of decrease. In order to do that, you're going to take the change in miles and divide it by the change in the hours. And they talk about it as the change in miles per the change in hours. So now let's practice using or finding the rate of change. Here's a graph of someone who's traveling in miles per hour. If we want to find the rate of change, we're going to pick 2 points and then find the difference between the two. So for example, we could just pick these first 2 points here. And then we're going to find the difference. Again, we're doing the miles on the top and the hours on the bottom. And I'm going to find the difference between the 2 points. So what's 60 minus 30 on the top, because those are my miles. And then on the bottom, I'm going to do my hours, 2 minus 1. 60 minus 30 is 30. And on the bottom, 2 minus 1 is 1. That means they are traveling at a rate of 30 miles per hour, or 30 miles for every hour. Section 3.1 also goes back and talks about unit rates. We talked about unit rates a few lessons ago. So just to refresh your brains on unit rates, it's a comparison of two measurements in which the denominator or the bottom number has a value of 1. So if I want to try to practice finding the unit rate, I want to always have a 1 on the bottom. So how do I go from 4 to 1? I would divide by 4. If I do that to the bottom, I also need to do that to the top. So if you divide the top by 4 also, you should get 3 over 1. And that would be your unit rate, because the unit rate has a denominator or a bottom number with a value of 1. Alright, next I'm going to remind you about domain and range. Domain is your set of inputs, and range is your set of outputs. So we can put anything in our input. That means it is our independent variable, and our range is our dependent variable. So back to our miles per hour example, I can put in any amount of hours. I can drive for 6 hours, I can drive for 10 hours, I can drive for 20 hours. Okay? My output then is going to be how many miles that I actually go. So my output depends upon what I put in for my miles. Or sorry, my hours. How long did I actually drive for? If we go back to this miles per hour graph, we can set up what our domain and our range are. Again, the domain is the input or the independent variable. I can drive for however many hours I want, and let's say our graph now stops at 4:120. That means that I can only put in the options of 1, 2, 3, or 4 hours, because the graph shows that it stops after 4 hours. So I can put 0 through 4. Okay, the range, remember, is the set of outputs, or the dependent variables. What do I get if I drive for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours? And again, we're stopping right here at 4:120. So my only options would be, again, 0 if I don't drive at all. I'm not going to go any miles, all the way up until the 120. Now that you've had a quick refresher, I want you to go flip to page 133 and follow steps 1 through 4 on finding the rate of change. And then after you finish that, answer problems 16 and 17 and try problem 2. We'll check over all of this when you get back to class tomorrow. Have a fantastic night.